Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Faith Gaming. I'm your host Ben, and today I'm talking about
my top 10 modern RPGs.
So that will include games like Japanese RPGs, and it'll also include games like, Western RPGs. Anything that's turn-based and that came out within the past 10 years. So before I get started, if you could kindly hit the hype button below to help this channel get more visibility, that'd be awesome. And stay tuned towards the end. I'm going to have a little bit about the future of this channel in the next couple of weeks because there's just a lot of things happening in my life and I want to keep everyone abreast. We're just going to dive right in today. This game came out a few years ago and it is called Octopath Traveler II. And this uses the 2D HD graphics, which is 2D pixel characters, sprites, with 3D backgrounds, and it also features like a tilt-shift perspective, so it looks like you're looking at a diorama or like a small little environment with your character running around. So I'm a big fan of this graphical style. I think it looks really good. This game is a throwback to the Super Nintendo and early PS1 era of JRPGs, but there are a few modern twists here. Everybody's voice acted. And the music's orchestrated. I will say the music here is awesome. It's very metal in a lot of ways. But if you're not familiar with the premise of the series, it's Octopath. And so you have 8 characters who you follow, and you can choose each character. And at the end, they all come together and fight like some epic big bad. But each of the stories here are really strong. My favorite, I forget the guy's name, but he's like a merchant, and his whole thing is like you can solve ethical issues using economics and free markets and stuff. So he's really cool. He's like, you can solve people's problems by bringing new technology to the market and stuff. So I've never seen a character or story quite like that in any form of media. So I will say Octopath Traveler 2 is a really awesome game. The next one on the list is from the Pokemon series, and this game I saw my daughter playing back in 2021, and I was like, what the heck is this? It looks really cool. And I started playing it. It's actually the game that got me back onto my Switch, because at that time I wasn't really playing my Switch that much. But this is Pokémon Legends Arceus, and this is like the 3rd edition of the Pokemon series. And what I mean by that is, so Pokemon Red and Blue through Pokemon Black and White 2 was kind of its own thing, its own like engine or whatever. Then you have an upgrade from Pokemon XY until Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I wasn't really into that at all. Like I thought it was too hand-holdy and like too sterile, like the graphics and stuff. It didn't do it for me. And so this is the new rendition of Pokemon. And so it's more over the shoulder, like 3rd-person action from like modern games, and there's less transitions. Like if you see a Pokemon out in the world somewhere, you just throw your ball and you start a fight right away. Like you're not going to a different screen to battle. So everything's more grounded. It feels like you're interacting more with your environment. You can get different upgrades and abilities that help you traverse the environment in different ways, like climbing up cliffs or flying around. And so it's a really cool game. If you have a young one and they haven't played Pokemon before, this is probably the best one to start with, in my opinion. And so yeah, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Have you played it? The next game is the first of its kind that I have played, and that is Dragon Quest XI, the Definitive Edition. This game's special because there were 3 major creators for Dragon Quest. And since this game came out, 2 of them have passed on. And so this is the last game where all 3 have worked on. One of them being Akira Toriyama, who did like the artwork for Dragon Ball. He was the creator and designer for Dragon Ball, but he also did Dragon Quest, and the composer has since passed away too. And so, these people, they were one-of-a-kind people, and they won't ever be replaced, but they got to make 11 great games. And Dragon Quest XI, in a lot of ways, is like the ultimate realization of their vision for Dragon Quest. And so it's a very cozy game. There are dark moments in the game. In fact, it's rated T for teen, where some of the other ones are rated E. But I will say, playing Dragon Quest XI, I fell off of it the first time I played it. Like, I just didn't get it. I knew it was an acclaimed game, but I didn't exactly, I couldn't see what other people were seeing because it was my first time playing it. And it wasn't until I played this next game where I fell in love with the Dragon Quest formula and what it was doing. And that is Dragon Quest III, the HD 2D remake. And so this uses the same engine as Octopath Traveler. It's the tilt shift, perspective, 2D sprites on a 3D background. But this is the best that style's ever looked. In fact, each game in this style gets better and better, starting with the first Octopath up until Dragon Quest III. And so this game, what makes it special is the music is fully orchestrated, the music's beautiful, the graphics are beautiful. It's like a very bright game. Like, I want to say it's optimistic looking in a weird way. Like, it's not dark. Even though, like, you know, tragedy does happen in this game, and it's not just like a kid's like happy-go-lucky game or nothing. Dragon Quest III is really awesome, and I finished that game last year, and it made me want to go back to Dragon Quest XI, and I did. And then I got it, then I fell in love with it. And so both these games are really great. If you were to dive into one, I would suggest Dragon Quest XI. I think it's the most accessible for most people. But if you're like me and you like old school, like traditional turn-based RPGs, they're both turn-based, but if you like the old school stuff, you'll like 3 as well. Maybe that's a good place to start. All right, and after that, we are going to what I consider maybe the best JRPG of the past 10 years. This is one that I'll recommend to people to be their first JRPG because I think it's accessible, the characters are likable, it has the most streamlined battle system to date in my opinion, and that is Persona 5 Royal. This is the extended edition of the original Persona 5. There's a whole new semester in it, but what makes Persona stand out is the style and the music. And this is one of those soundtracks where you will listen to it on its own. Like, it's that good. You'll listen to this music in the car. They sell vinyls of it. I have a couple. The characters in this series are really awesome. The story is dark. It's very layered. You can tell the people who made this game are well read, and they're like integrating stuff like Freud and like Jung and stuff in here. So it's a really cool game from that perspective too. It is a long game. It took me about 120 hours to play the whole thing. It came out during COVID, I remember, because I wasn't going to play Persona 5 again, but it came out like right when everything closed down. So it was like, well, now's a good time to play Persona again. But, you know, if you decide to pick it up, don't let the length persuade you to not do it, because you can play it over the course of a year. In fact, it does kind of lend itself to like a episodic nature. So if you want to play like someone's dungeon and section, like you can just do that and it's all good. But the next game I'm going to talk about is from the same developers as Persona 5. And this one came out last year, and it's actually my game of the year last year. But the Persona people, they wanted to try their own, they wanted to try their hand at fantasy. And so they took what the West had done with fantasy and they put their own like Japanese spin on it. And I will say that like they succeeded in flying colors. It's like the most refreshing fantasy world I've ever been in, to be honest with you. That game is Metaphor ReFantazio. And the people who made this game, you know, they studied Enlightenment philosophers and stuff, because that's what this game is about. It's all about like will, and it's about different types of government. There are like some really cool twists in this game that I didn't see coming, but they're really fresh. Maybe slight spoilers, but this is like towards the beginning of the game, where in the Metaphor world, there's this book that's a fantasy book to them, and you read it, and it's about our world. It's this version of our world that's like the best possible version of it. And I thought it was really aspirational to hear somebody from a different world talk about how like united and awesome our world could be. So it's a really awesome premise, and it's super deep. Like, I'm sure there's essays out there on YouTube about what they put into this game. Another example is the music. There's like a guy in there, and the language he's speaking is called Esperanto. And it's this language that like the UN invented, basically. It's supposed to be like this universal language. And so there's like all kinds of stuff in this game that are just like, who would have thought to put this into a game? It's really just well thought out. I'm wondering if they're gonna do like a royal version of this, because there are parts in this game where it's like they're missing a dungeon here, and it's already such a long game. It took me 120 hours to beat this game too, and so we'll see. All right, now it's time for my final 3. We're kind of moving away from the traditional turn-based game, although these are still turn-based. But this game is a remake of one of my all-time favorites, and they really knocked it out of the park on all levels. The soundtrack, the graphics, the voice acting characters, the story, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake. And this is the integrated version, which adds a little DLC to it. This game, it takes what came before, so you still have the materia system that you can customize your party with. It leans itself more towards action, although you can do like a turn-based version of combat in this game, which is why I can't include it here, because there is turn-based combat. But each character plays completely different. So you have someone like Aerith who's standing back and she's twirling her little wand and, you know, waiting for her spells to charge up. And then you have someone like Tifa, and she plays like a damn fighting character. Like you can assign different moves to your controller, and so she's like jumping up in the air doing kicks and all this stuff. It's really cool. And so there's a lot of variety in gameplay here. The story goes crazy directions. I won't say any more, but I will say that like the last chapter of this game is like one of my favorite anything from video games of all time. It's just like really blew me away. It's not that long of a game, and so like it's gonna come to Switch 2 next year as well. So however you can, play Final Fantasy VII Remake, because it's great. All right, the next game after that is this could win my game of the year this year. It's gonna be close, but that is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This game is a turn-based game, but there's a big twist in it. Just like Mario RPG, there's like timed triggers in your turn-based combat, so you can like block or do an extra attack for extra damage. But this game takes it to the next level. The designer of this game, he was like a huge Sekiro fan, which is like a Souls game. This game, it's like it's like a Souls RPG in a lot of ways. It's really hard. You have to like learn enemies' attack patterns. Like some of the wind-ups in this game are insane. It's like, whoop, you know, they're coming at you and you don't know when they're gonna hit exactly. But the story here is awesome. In fact, the story is like what I want from Final Fantasy games, where it's self-contained, this incredible world, but there's like these twists that like there's just no way you could ever see them coming. And so I love that about Expedition 33. That's kind of been lacking in my opinion with some of the previous Final Fantasy games, the most recent ones anyways, except for Remake. Expedition 33 is an easy recommend. It's been a big hit this year. And I think like if you're a JRPG or just a turn-based RPG person in general, you'll love this game. All right, the next game I don't have a physical copy of because I bought it digitally, but I also haven't beaten this one yet, and I need to go back. And this game came out in 2023, and it swept the award season, and that is Baldur's Gate 3. And I know people who have played this game 5, 6, 7 times, you know, because there's so many different avenues you can explore in this game. And so this game, you know, it's based on Dungeons and Dragons. It's in the Forgotten Realms universe. The story is like branches upon branches upon branches of different paths you can take. And there's like characters you can meet at the very beginning who you can also not meet. You can kill them. You can completely not explore their storyline. You know, there's so much you can miss, and there's so much you can do. And you know, you can be good, you can be evil in this game. And so yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, after I finish Kingdom Come Deliverance 3, or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and Trails in the Sky, the first, I plan on playing this game probably for the next couple of months starting next year. What are some games I missed? Honorable mentions, I want to shout out, one would be Ni no Kuni, which came out before the cutoff here, but you know, Ni no Kuni 2 is actually really good as well. And the other one would be Trails in the Sky, the first chapter that comes out today, but I haven't played it beyond the demo, so you know, how can I add it to this list? Anyways, that's the end of this episode. I do want to talk about the next couple of weeks. The rest of this month, I should have videos every Sunday, but in October, I'm expecting my 3rd child, and so he's gonna be born sometime in October. So like after that, I probably won't have videos for a few weeks. I'm thinking maybe I can do things that require less editing, like do reviews. If I'm on Backlogged and I have a bunch of reviews posted there I can pull from. And so that might be a good avenue for me just to keep the content rolling. And by the way, on Backlogged, you can find me at BigPappaChimp. I'm pretty active there. But anyways, thanks for joining me today. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. But anyways, guys, have a good week, and until next time, take care.